All right, let's jump right into one of the most powerful sales frameworks out there, spin selling. We're going to break this down from a consultant's perspective, really focusing on how you can shift from just pitching a product to becoming a strategic problem solver for your client.
You know, this quote from Peter Drucker really just nails it. It perfectly captures the spirit of what we're talking about. The goal isn't to pressure someone or to persuade them. It's to understand their world so deeply that your solution becomes the only logical choice.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the core philosophy, the big idea behind it all. Then we'll break down the 4 phases of spin questions. After that, we'll look at a real-world example, cover some common mistakes to avoid, and wrap it all up with a playbook to tie everything together.
Let's start with the foundation, which is all about the mindset. This isn't just about learning a few new tricks. It's about a completely different way of seeing your role in the conversation.
The biggest shift you have to make is from being a product pusher to a trusted advisor. Your entire focus moves from your own sales target to your client's success. You're not there to sell them something. You're there to help them solve a problem that's actually keeping them up at night.
So how do we actually do this? Well, that's where the SPIN framework comes in. It's an acronym for the 4 types of questions that guide the entire conversation: situation, problem, implication, and need-payoff. Let's dig into those first 2 stages.
Welcome to the discovery phase. Seriously, this is where you need to put on your detective hat. The goal here isn't to talk about your amazing product at all. Nope, it's to learn everything you possibly can about your prospect's world.
We kick things off with situation questions. Think of these as your broad, fact-finding tools. Things like, so what's your current process for handling this? Or who's involved when that decision gets made? And remember, the person asking the questions is the one in control of the conversation. You're guiding the discovery.
Okay, once you've got the lay of the land, it's time to pivot to problem questions. This is where you start digging for pain. It's absolutely critical. Because let's be honest, people don't buy features, they buy solutions to their problems. If you don't find a real painful problem, the sale is dead before it even starts. And this is a perfect example of that. It's direct, it's diagnostic, and it's designed to uncover what they care about most, their hot button. This kind of question forces them to really think and tell you what's causing the most friction in their day-to-day. Now let's build on that. So you've found a problem, great, but hold on. Your job is not to immediately jump in with your solution, not yet. First, you have to make that problem bigger. This is where you build value and, more importantly, create a sense of urgency.
You do this with implication questions. These explore all the ripple effects of the problem. You might ask, what kind of impact is that bottleneck having on your team's morale? Or how many hours a week do you think are being wasted because of that issue? A fantastic technique here is the 7 levels of why. You just keep asking, why does that matter? Until you get from a surface-level annoyance to a deep emotional business driver. That's the real reason they'll buy.
And the psychology behind this is just fascinating. Research shows that the fear of loss is about 2.5 times more powerful as a motivator than the desire for gain. Your implication questions tap right into that. By putting a number on the cost of doing nothing, lost revenue, wasted hours, unhappy employees, you make the problem feel real and urgent. Only after that problem feels big and urgent do you finally move on to need-payoff questions. This is where you get to be the hero. You build what's called a bridge of value that connects your solution directly to their needs. So instead of saying, our software is fast, you ask, what would it mean for your team if you could get this report done in a few hours instead of a few days? See the difference? You're letting them state the value themselves.
So theory is great, but what does this actually look like in practice? Let's walk through a real-world case study of a salesperson who totally transformed her approach using this very framework.
Okay, so originally Betty was leading with her product, office automation consulting. It's generic, it's a bit vague, and frankly, it's boring. Her pivot was to lead with a benefit, a really compelling needs-based hook. This new approach offers a quantifiable result that immediately grabs your attention. It's like a brick through the window that shatters their preoccupation with their daily tasks.
And this slide right here gets to the heart of it. Through her discovery questions, Betty figured out that the words accounting software made her prospects' eyes glaze over. But the word profitability, that was their hot button. By connecting her solution directly to what they cared about most, their bottom line, she was able to frame her solution as a personal win for them.
Now that we've seen how to do it right, it's equally important to understand what not to do. Let's look at 4 common mistakes that can completely derail a consultative sale.
Let's break these down real quick. First, feature dumping.
That's just throwing a bunch of technical specs at the wall and hoping something sticks. It rarely works. Second, talking past the need. That's when you try to close the deal before you've actually earned the right to. Third, aggressive pressuring, which is the fastest way to destroy any trust you've built. And finally, ignoring the decision ecosystem. This is a big one in B2B. You sell to one person, but a whole committee needs to approve it. You have to remember, this should feel like a collaborative workshop, not a monologue.
Okay, to bring this all home, let's put everything into a single, actionable tool. Think of this matrix as your one-page playbook for the entire process.
Think of this matrix as your strategic guide. You start on the left. What's the sales stage? Then, what's the prospect's mindset? When they're just preoccupied, your job is to break through with a powerful benefit statement to get their attention. Once they're aware of a problem but it's fuzzy, your job is to diagnose and find that hot button. When they see the problem as just a minor annoyance, you use those implication questions to build urgency. And finally, when they're interested but skeptical, you build that bridge of value to prove that the payoff is huge. This is your roadmap for turning a simple pitch into a true consultative partnership.